Hey guys, welcome back. As you can tell, we're doing something kind of different in this video. Taking a ride up American Fork Canyon because it's gorgeous today. It's warm but not too hot, and just beautiful weather, beautiful scenery. Wanted to share some of that with you guys. So every now and again when I'm hopping around YouTube, watching this video and that video, commenting on this, liking that, I get somebody who will pop in the comment underneath me and say, Shane, late Boy Scout, man, I didn't know you watch this kind of stuff. I didn't know you follow this guy. I didn't know you're into this kind of thing. So what I wanted to do today is talk about some of the stuff I watch that has nothing to do with guns, nothing to do with knives or outdoors, or any of the stuff that I'm commonly known for talking about, reviewing, and covering on my channel. And I've broken this into a few categories, and this by no means covers everything. And these categories are probably kind of a messy version of what, how these guys would categorize themselves. But I just want to, throw them into a kind of a sloppily arranged category, just kind of help me talk about it. So the categories are as follows. Number 1, news commentary. Number 2, ideas and or opinion. Number 3, interviews. And number 4, pure entertainment, just stuff that is escapism for me. And when we get around to pure entertainment, I'm sure some of you guys will be like, man, I can't believe you watch that garbage. And then others of you will be, yep, that's exactly the kind of guy I pegged you for. Not surprised at all. But let's get into some specifics of channels that I watch and enjoy. And these are in no specific order, certainly not ordered by the amount that I watch of each of these channels. I just kind of threw together a list of stuff that I commonly find myself watching and interested in. So the first one I'll talk about is Steven Crowder. I hope you guys watch Louder with Crowder. It's a great program. Steven Crowder, I've been watching him, I think, probably since the beginning of my YouTube channel. I don't know exactly how many years he's been at it, but I've been watching Louder with Crowder in all its incarnations for pretty much as long as it's been on YouTube. The current version of the show is extremely well polished and well put together. He's funny. His commentary is great, and I just love the show. So I don't necessarily agree with everything he says, and that's true of everybody I'm going to mention here. But the stuff he puts together and the work he puts into his content is supreme, superb, and I really enjoy it. So Steven Crowder, Louder with Crowder. If you don't subscribe to that channel, I recommend that you do. Lots of conservative principles there. So if that's not what you're into, you may feel a little challenged, or you may not enjoy what he has to say. Next, on the conservative tip, Ben Shapiro / The Daily Wire. I've also been keeping tabs on Ben Shapiro ever since his run-in with Piers Morgan years and years ago, in the aftermath of the Sandy Hook shooting. He did a spectacular job standing up to Piers Morgan, and has just kind of been in the news and has been kind of pretty current, doing lots of talking about important things ever since on YouTube and all over. So I really enjoy his content, and his current, again, the current incarnation of his content, which has kind of morphed over the years, but it's currently called The Daily Wire, and it's a subscription-based sort of network, I guess you'd call it. But it's him and a handful of other guys. His show is one I primarily watch. I've kind of tasted the other shows, and they're all right too. But I generally tune into Ben's show almost every day. I don't necessarily get through the entire thing, but I watch a good portion of it, or listen to. I also download the podcast. Next after that, Tim Pool. If you don't watch Tim Pool, or Tim Cast as he's known I think on Twitter, you ought to check him out. He would not be considered a conservative, or I don't consider him a conservative, and I don't believe he calls himself a conservative. He either would call himself a liberal or an independent or something like that. I don't care. I mean, I consider myself more conservative than anything else. Mostly I'm a listener. I don't like to label myself one thing or the other. I like to absorb all the different ideas I can, and enjoy being challenged by different ideas. and also in other ways, kind of hearing the things I already believe expressed in a more clear fashion by certain people. So as I said, Tim Pool, not a conservative, but a very good commentator, very good independent journalist who's stuck his neck out and put himself into some pretty hairy situations to get some great coverage of so many different things. And I appreciate what he does. I don't remember if I think I am actually one of his a patron of his on Patreon. I might as well throw out my Patreon while I'm on the subject. Yes, I do have a Patreon. I don't generally ask people to contribute to it or plug it, but it does exist. I don't give you anything extra if you choose to donate to it. That's partly why I don't encourage anybody to donate to it, but it is there if you're interested. Tim Pool, yeah, great. He does a great job. Next to him, Lauren Southern. Same sort of thing. She would probably be considered a bit more on the conservative side as far as her values, as far as the things she talks about. But she also does a spectacular job as an independent journalist. Some folks will say, oh man, she did that thing with the boat and the refugees, and so you can never listen to her again. Or why would you even support Patreon? Because maybe you're on the other side of this. She got kicked off Patreon because of some stunt she pulled. Yeah, there's that. But even so, she does a really good job with her reporting. And I like her perspective. I like the way she speaks. I like what she does. Lastly, on that same sort of subject, or that same kind of vein, I guess kind of in the same news commentary category, Sargon of Akkad, more of a commentary than a news. He does sort of current events, covering things that are going on, but he does this whole program called This Week in Stupid, which and again, for any of you guys who are kind of sensitive as far as language, you know that if you watch my channel, you know that I police myself very, very well in regards to language. I keep things extremely clean on this channel. That's just how I am. But a lot of the stuff I watch isn't remotely like that. His values as far as the type of speech he uses is not like mine. I don't care though. It comes down to the content of what he has to say, and you know, the value of his commentary and his insight. And that's what I'm most interested in the channels I listen to and watch. He's done some stuff outside of This Week in Stupid as well, and he has a second channel called The Thinkery, which is a lot more rough rather than the polished, more polished version of what he does there on Sargon of Akkad. Yeah, generally speaking, I don't watch everything he does, but I tune into a lot of it. This is definitely one of those situations where I don't agree with everything he says, but I appreciate the vast majority of what he says, and so I keep tuning in. Let's see, I think that wraps it up for news and commentary. Let's move on to ideas. So some of the channels that are very idea oriented, some are very polished, some less so. One of the main ones that you'll see as an advertiser on YouTube very frequently is Prager University. Dennis Prager and his whole organization called Prager University. They do an extraordinary job with very clean, very polished, beautiful videos with great animation. And honestly, I've seen a ton of channels pop up either on the left or elsewhere that are trying clearly to imitate his quality level and do something similarly engaging, because again, his videos are quite engaging, very well thought out, very well put together. Not necessarily, don't agree with necessarily everything I see or hear there, but a large portion of it I do, and I always enjoy what he does and what the whole organization does. He has different speakers all the time, different commentators all the time, which makes it, you know, there's always something new, something different, something interesting on that channel. It's one of the reasons I really enjoy watching it. Next to Prager University, Jordan B. Peterson. A lot of you guys are familiar with Jordan B. Peterson by now. I do not have his book, 12 Rules for Life. Haven't read it. I need to. I want to. It's one of those things that's on my to-do list. If life ever slows down and becomes manageable again, I hope to do that. And I'm not going to get into all the reasons why life is barely manageable for me right now, but yeah. Anyway, Jordan B. Peterson, huge fan of his commentary, of the things he says, of his ability to think and explain and expound and put into words the things, as he's phrased it, the things that I already feel and believe, but he's able to put them into words in ways that I've never been able to. And this is one of the reasons I watch him, you know, all the stuff he does. I watch, not all the stuff, but a lot of the stuff, his talks, his lectures, and so forth, his interviews. I just love following Jordan B. Peterson. Next to him, Stefan Molyneux. I've been watching Stefan as well for, I don't know, maybe as many as 5 years, quite a while. I would say that the way he's evolved as far as his view on religion, Christianity in particular, is one of the things that's made me stick with him. Early on, I was super interested in the things he said because he was super articulate and he was saying a lot of things I agreed with, but he was, and I don't want to offend folks watching right now, but I may offend some of you right now. He was what I kind of thought of as a hate theist. A hate theist, as in you're an atheist, but it's not enough for you to not believe in God yourself. You've got to tear down people who do and make fun of them and etc. and all that stuff, which I've never seen a reason for. I've always felt, you know, I don't care if you don't believe in God myself. I as an individual do, but I don't need other people to. I'm happy to have conversations with folks that don't believe what I believe, don't believe anything close to what I believe, as long as we find common ground on certain other really critical things. And that's kind of what I found with Stefan Molyneux when I first started watching him. As I sort of watched him evolve, he became far friendlier to, again, Christianity in particular, and the effect that it has had on civilization and the modern world, and really the reason, one of the underlying reasons the world is what it is today, which is something I've always felt. So I really enjoy Stefan Molyneux and always have. Man, these turns are fun. Give me some room, dude. Alpine Loop. I don't think I'm going to go all the way over. May get up to the summit and come back. We'll see how it goes. After Stefan Molyneux, and again, this isn't really by order of how much I watch one or the other. There's a great channel called Black Pigeon Speaks. I don't know too much about the fellow, but I know he makes fantastic. I don't know how to categorize him. Commentary, news, history. He takes things that are happening today as an aggregate, not just a single event. He takes a lot of what's happening today, lumps them into this dissertation, you might say, pairs it up with things in history, creates these great graphics and great animations, and just these excellent videos that are really hard to contend with. That's not to say that I agree with everything he has said or does, but he makes excellent arguments and I really enjoy what he does. So Black Pigeon Speaks. That is it for ideas / opinions up to this point. Let's move on to interviews. There's a couple channels that I watch for the interviews that I really enjoy. Interviews are kind of fun things to listen to for whatever reason, and one of the channels that does a spectacular job with that, that's been doing it for a long time, is Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, once again, if you have any problems with language, don't tune into him, but he explores ideas with all the vulgarity and all the personality that he has, in very, very interesting ways, with very interesting guests, and often challenges them, often explores things in a very non-linear, disorganized way. His interviews could be called rambling, but somehow they're still engaging. Here we are at the summit. I think at this point I will turn around and give you a view. Wow. Oh my gosh. Freaking awesome. I love it up here, guys. I'll give you a little view of this area here first, then we'll turn around and send it back down and finish up the video with the downward view coming back down towards Alpine. Come up here with my family periodically. We love this area. Love the view up here. Fall in particular is amazing. It's just intoxicatingly gorgeous. We love it. If you're in the area, obviously, you probably already know about American Fork Canyon, and you probably enjoy it too. So, where was I at? Oh yeah, Joe Rogan. I think I covered everything I wanted to say about Joe Rogan. He certainly is not the only interviewer out there that I find interesting. But one of the other ones that I watch a lot of is Dave Rubin, the Rubin Report. Another guy who, dude, he's not scared of having people on that he may disagree with, and he's a little more tiptoe-ish around when it comes to issues that are, you know, where he differs with somebody. He certainly isn't confrontational, where Joe can be a little bit. No, Dave is just kind of like, let's sit down and have a friendly talk. Let's enjoy, you know, each other's company, but explore each other's ideas. And so he'll challenge ideas a little bit. He'll try to get to the bottom of what somebody thinks, where they came from, what brought them to where they are, to their position of prominence, or to their position of speaking about different things. He's got a very polished show, and he just does a fantastic job. So Dave Rubin, I'm one of his Patreons as well, again, because he just does a great job, and I want some people like him to continue their conversations, you know, seeing these balanced conversations where two people from differing sides are talking about sometimes different sides. Often he has a lot of things in common with the folks he's interviewing, but he talks and he explores everything, and it doesn't turn contentious. You know, it's a good example of how we can have conversations, whether we agree or disagree, without being contentious and being in each other's faces and trying to tear each other down and call each other names. And that's the main thing I love about what he does. All right, guys, we are into the realm of pure entertainment. I've covered all the, you know, the really enriching stuff that makes me grow a little bit. Now we're getting down to the stuff that I really should avoid, but it's just too much fun, and so I keep watching it. I'm talking about stuff like, you ready for this? I don't know if you're ready for this. PewDiePie. Dude, I do. I watch PewDiePie. Not always, not every video, but I enjoy what he does. Like his authenticity, man. That is the main thing you get with PewDiePie that I have a hard time finding elsewhere. The dude is unpolished, authentic, hilarious, and very on point in regards to a lot of things. So the guy does, like, he'll do some, you know, general culture commentary sometimes. Gaming, by the way, I don't do any gaming. I haven't done any gaming for 10, 12 years, for as long as I've had kids about. And even before then, I almost did virtually none. I could probably get into that. I won't do much though. There was maybe one or two video games that I enjoyed playing on my PS2 years and years and years ago, but never got an upgraded console, never got any additional games, and absolutely had no time to play, so I got out of it, and I just don't do it. And my kids play now on their Xbox, and they'll try to get me to play with them every now and again. I can get roped into it and forced to do it every now and again for a little while, but for the most part I can't stand it. Whoa! That's a mountain. Dude, it's so cool. This ride is so much better on a motorcycle than in a car when you've got that roof above you and you can't see everything, and I'm tall, so my view is obscured. This is like, this is the best way to do the loop. Man, this is gorgeous. Where was I? Oh yeah, I was talking about PewDiePie and gaming, and so I never really game anymore. My kids do, I don't. But so his gaming videos are fun. They're good. They're pure escapism. But his sort of meme review stuff and all the other things he does as far as, like, you know, kind of meme culture and so forth, it's just hilarious. I don't get a lot of it, but on the other hand, I do. I've had friends who PewDiePie remind me of. Okay, like folks that I've worked with, folks that I've been around and been good friends with. He reminds me of them, and so I think watching his videos is kind of like hanging out with an old buddy in that way. So yeah, I definitely enjoy some PewDiePie. Again, I hope that doesn't shock you too much. I don't watch every single video, but I watch a lot of his stuff. Next, and this one is where the true geekery comes out. You ready for this, guys? I'm almost embarrassed. But it gets worse. Trust me, after this one it gets even worse. Comics Explained. Did any of you guys watch Comics Explained? Put your hand up. You, yeah, dude, I enjoy watching Comics Explained. I think I started watching his channel when it was still very small. Rob is the dude's name. And he makes, what would you call him? Well, Comics Explained. He explains comics. Explains sort of the history, the context, the backstory to do with big comic book stories. And I think this is, you know, his channel has risen to prominence now with all the Marvel movies that are coming out. And DC, they're trying to. The Marvel movies that are hugely successful, which I enjoy, by the way. And so his channel has made, you know, humongous inroads, and also just done incredibly well, probably piggybacking on the success of the Marvel movies, which is fine by me. But it kind of, he gives sort of the backstory of these different characters. So if you are you're planning on going to some of these movies, you got no clue what's going on with this character or that character, why this guy's motivated to do that. He gives you the backstory from a comic book perspective, from the old, you know, the original source material perspective, which is fun to see. And as I said, it gets worse from there. But this is the last one I'm going to share, guys. The last one that I watch fairly frequently, again, not one of these that I tune into every day or for every single video at all, but I watch a lot of this dude named Charlie from a channel called Emergency Awesome. This is pure geekery, guys. Pure geekery. Like, I've never been to Comic-Con. If I were the type to go to Comic-Con, this is the type of guy I would expect to see there, okay? Just ready to cover every detail of every upcoming movie, story, book, TV show, whatever that you could think of enjoying or talking about, pardon me, at Comic-Con. That's what this stuff is. But the guy does it in a way that's engaging, that's endearing, and that is pretty inoffensive and just fun to watch. So, yeah, Emergency Awesome. I want to say I'm embarrassed for watching that, but hey, man, these guys put out some pretty decent content. There are all sorts of corners of YouTube where people make good content of all different kinds. That's one of the things that I've come to realize. I've found other channels that are like traditional cooking channels where you learn how to make really old meals that people had hundreds of years ago, and, you know, food for traveling and biscuits and all these other things, and jerky and whatever, or salt pork and stuff, and it's like, whoa, that's pretty cool, I want to learn about that. But there's just so many cool corners of YouTube, and I hope that you don't just stick to guns, knives, and outdoors, which is the primary focus of my channel. And I hope that for you, not just because I think this stuff is fun and I think it's good, but I think in a way, you know, it kind of makes you a little bit more of a well-rounded person to have, you know, perspective on lots of different things, to care about what's going on in the world, but also to be able to relate to people on a social level. And so that's why a lot of that geekery and a lot of that pure entertainment stuff is interesting to me and is fun to me. It helps me kind of relate on a more social level with my kids and with a lot of other stuff. And no, I don't let my kids watch PewDiePie. No way. I've watched enough of it to know you don't get to tune into that stuff. That's about it for now, guys. I'm gonna close this out while giving you guys a beautiful view of the canyon as I drive down it on my wonderful KLR 650 from 2008. Call this bike Battle Cat. Guys, thanks for watching. If you want to see more content like this, let me know. I'm always happy to hop on the bike, go for a ride, and talk. Till next time, take care.